Welcome into another video, and you might see the three of us here right now and think, where's the dynasty content? Fantasy's over. So we're going to be talking about some head coaches that could be getting fired here in just a week's time with the upcoming Black Monday rolling around. If you guys don't remember, earlier this year before the season, the three of us went through all 32 NFL head coaches and ranked them in if we thought they were going to be fired, potential seat is warm, or if we thought they were locked in. We had a few swings and misses, but overall, if you want to go check it out, we were pretty solid across the board there. And now we thought we'd run it back as the season is about to expire. Boys, we ready to get into it or what?
Let's do it, man. Let's do it.
Ryan?
Yeah, I'm ready to run it back. Yeah, that's where it all started. I'm curious to see how our opinions change on these coaches.
Yeah. We had a few interesting ones, but let's go ahead and get right into it right now with Andy Reid, head coach of the Kansas City Chiefs. Probably the worst season in the Andy Reid Chiefs era. Abysmal season. Patrick Mahomes tears his ACL. The downfall just, starts to come around really with this one. Travis Kelce could be on his way out, but my immediate gut reaction is to go locked in.
I do think there's a real small percent chance that we look back on this year, Travis Kelce calls it quits. Mahomes needs a year to really get back to his full self. Andy Reid, there's kind of some, I wouldn't say turmoil, I wouldn't go that far, but I think the stagnant nature of fans where you've seen the same thing for a few years now, you're getting used to winning. Similar thing happened in Philly with Andy Reid, just without the Super Bowls. So I don't know. I think you're probably right. He's safe. He's locked in. But I think there's a very small percentage where he could just call it after this one.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's enough noise right now. Not enough buzz around him potentially parting ways with the Chiefs. I feel like he's got at least one more year in there. I would be interested in maybe saying safe for 2026, just because I think he's going to coach next year for sure. But I could see him potentially parting ways after next season if it doesn't go the way the Chiefs want it to. So I'd put him in that yellow.
Yeah.
So we're going to go with the yellow, not locked in. All right, Andy Reid, not locked in. Let's go ahead and move our way into Las Vegas, baby. We've got Pete Carroll here, who was brought in to raise the bar on this franchise and now finds himself locked into the number one overall pick with just staring down the barrel at Fernando Mendoza. I got to be the one to say, though, fired. Got to be.
I think it's a potential part ways. Like I think that's for sure how it's going to come out. I think it's like a pretty likely to be a part ways, but it's Pete Carroll. He didn't come in here just for like I don't know. I would be surprised if he just came in here with all sides under the impression that it's just a 1 year thing. So it was ugly this year, but I feel like they'll probably make it seem nicer than it really has been.
Yeah, Pete Carroll has too much respect. I mean, he's like a legend in this league. You can't just fire a guy like that. That's a definite part ways. Even if they are firing him, they're going to make it sound good by saying that they're parting ways. So
it'll be a Tony La Russa health problem that forces him to step aside.
That guy's as healthy as a goat, dude. I don't know. I don't know, man. I think we should probably go part ways, but he's gonna be fired. Like
he's getting fired.
I'll put him in the fired category. I just feel like you're looking at Fernando Mendoza right now. That's just not the guy who you want to ride that ship. I understand, wanting to bring him in and raise the bar on the franchise, but it just hasn't been that, and it's been sad. And it's also Mark Davis. I could easily see Mark Davis being like, "Fuck Pete Carroll." Like they've never been like cool with their head coaches, and they've had a lot of them. I could see him just being like, fuck Pete Carroll. I don't care about Pete Carroll. All right. Jim Harbaugh locked into the playoffs once again, going into year 2 in Los Angeles. But I wouldn't necessarily say it's been a pretty year for them. A lot of offensive line troubles, some disgruntled Harbaugh fans out there as well. Some Chargers fans who aren't the fondest of Jim Harbaugh. But for me, I think it's also another one of those situations where he's kind of a legend. I kind of want to lean locked in, but I think he's at least safe for 2026.
Yeah, I mean, a lot can happen between now and the end of next year, certainly, if we're looking past just the 2026 season. So it feels like safe for 2026 is the right way, just because I've seen what you're seeing, Will. You know, a little bit of chitter chatter, a little bit of chirp chirp here and there, where Harbaugh maybe has a perceived ceiling on what he brings to a team, but he's a winner. So if I was a Chargers fan, I'd be happy with it, and I'd want him to be locked in, but a lot can happen.
He's turned their franchise around. They keep winning. It's going to be hard to bring someone else in and convince them that that's the better option. I feel like he's another one who's a legend in this league. A lot of respect. So I'd say he's as locked in as it gets, in my opinion.
All right, I can get behind locked in. I agree with you guys on this one. Obviously, a lot can happen, but for right now, I feel like you got to lock a guy in like that. And I want to go Sean Payton locked in as well. We don't got to dive too deep into the Sean Payton
For sure.
Denver Bronco era. We'll go ahead and lock that in. Here we go, an interesting one, and that is Shane Steichen of the Indianapolis Colts. At one point this year, Coach of the Year favorite. Now missing the playoffs once again for his third year in his tenure. If you guys look back on our video that we did earlier this season, he was in the seat is burning hot category, and I would have bet $1 million that he was going to get fired. I don't think that now.
Yeah, I don't think he's getting fired this year at all. I think he comes off as a guy who's had more success than he has. And maybe that's just because of their hot start this year. But like you look back when they had a fully healthy team, they were consistently ranked as one of the best teams, offense and defense, across the league. And then Danny Dimes breaks his leg, plays injured for a week, and then goes out for the year. And now they're obviously on a steep decline. So I like Steichen. I think he's really shown what he can do with even just a competent quarterback. And so safe for 2026. I'm pulling the safe card, but I realistically can see this being a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, I'm also feeling safe for 2026. I feel like he's definitely guaranteed next year, but if things don't go well next year, I could certainly see him getting fired again. So maybe we're sitting at it like we're doing the same thing all over again next year, where the seat might be a little hot for him, but I think he at least has next year guaranteed.
I agree wholeheartedly. I think he's definitely earned the right to coach this team in 2026, showed what he could do. But, year 4, you don't make the playoffs again. That's 4 straight years without it. It's hard to convince anybody to keep a head coach around who doesn't make a playoff appearance, especially in the South. It's not like you're battling the Kansas City Chiefs week in and week out. Not knocking what the South is. The Texans and the Jaguars are 2 of the hottest teams in football right now, but I wouldn't call it a gauntlet of a division in any way, shape, or form. So definitely think he has to make a real postseason push in 2026. DeMeco Ryans. I was really worried about when they started 0-3 this year. I was kind of really worried about him. I was. They've had some offensive struggles, 3 different offensive coordinators now that we're going on. But this team is rocking, baby. I think he's very locked in with what he's done. I mean, they've got 2 playoff wins in his first 2 years. I think he's locked in as it gets.
Yeah.
DeMeco Ryans, he's honestly my favorite, like probably one of my favorite head coaches in the league. I just love the culture that he set there, but he's different than the other culture setting head coaches like the Tomlins and the Campbells, because he actually calls plays. He's schematically very involved defensively. I think he's obviously got a top 3 defense in the league. So he brings the juice. He's a former player, high respect. I really like him. I feel like he's perfect for Houston.
Yeah, I agree
100%.
wholeheartedly.
Yeah, he's as locked in as it gets.
I mean, like, he's got, like, not necessarily calling these guys slouches, but these aren't, like, superstar. I mean, obviously, you have Danielle Hunter and Will Anderson. You're making everything work. But, like, Kamari Lassiter, Jalen Petre, these are, like, 2nd, 3rd round guys. Al-Zaish Shair, I don't know how you say his name too well, but, like, these are real impact players on this defense, and it's the best defense in football. Like, he deserves all the credit for this turnaround on this team. I love it so much. He is as locked in as it gets, and we can go ahead and probably just throw Liam Cohen in the locked in right now. Probably the coach of the year favorite right now. What he has done in Jacksonville, turning that team around, it's phenomenal. Finally has Trevor Lawrence looking like the player that he was once supposed to be coming out of the draft as the number 1 overall pick in 2021. I'm a huge fan of Liam Cohen and what he has done there. It looked rough from the start. I will say the Duval looked corny. It looked a little shaky, but what he has done has been phenomenal.
Do you know what the most surprising thing is? I would completely agree with you that he should be the coach of the year favorite, but if you look at the odds, I'm pretty sure he's like 5th in odds, which is crazy to me. He's behind Shanahan, McDonald, Ben Johnson, and Vrabel. And I'm like, Out of all those guys, I think the job that Liam Cohen has done has been the most impressive with a Jacksonville roster that nobody thought was any good, a quarterback nobody really thought was that good. He's got them 11-4, going to win the division. So I think he's had the most impressive year of any coach in the league, in my opinion.
Wow, yeah, I thought he would be much higher up there. I mean, Vrabel, what he has done, I'm a big fan of that, but I don't know. I feel like if I were to be a betting man right now, I'm not necessarily a betting man, but if I had the choice, I'd probably go Cohen or Shanahan in my eyes. Those two this year have been unbelievable. Let's go ahead and move on. Mike Tomlin, an interesting one, a polarizing one. This has been one that's been in the talks now for a few seasons, and I feel like these next two guys, I kind of want to put them in the exact same category, and it kind of is reliant on what happens this Sunday.
I think even, like, especially in the Steelers case, even if they win Sunday, they get in and they're another first-round bounce, I think this is a potential part-ways situation. I think for the Ravens and Harbaugh, like, they've been dealing with enough injuries. This has been kind of a season that you don't want to take any season off, but feels like it's kind of been a season taken off for the Ravens. And so I don't know if that would necessarily warrant Harbaugh getting the boot over in Baltimore, but I think Tomlin, unless they win a playoff game, I think it's probably it for him in Pittsburgh.
I think Tomlin fits pretty perfectly into the should be but won't be, in my opinion, because I feel like I'd put him there for like the last 5 years, to be honest, in terms of Pittsburgh just continuously running it back with him. And I think his offenses are really what holds him back. I mean, it's just so bland and stale. They can't draft receivers. They can't sign receivers. Obviously, they traded for one, but still, it's just not enough. They don't have any real weapons out there. And I feel like that's all a result of Mike Tomlin's coaching style. It's just a little outdated. So I think he should be fired, but he probably won't be.
I kind of want to go potential part ways just because I like Mike Tomlin. I really do. I just think this needs to be a fresh start. He just needs to go somewhere else. I think this is a guy who could probably take a year off, kind of like Sean Payton did, and then just find himself revamped, refreshed for a whole new organization and ready to rock. And I think what he's done in Pittsburgh has been obviously phenomenal. You could probably argue that he's going to be in the Hall of Fame one day. I mean, this dude still has not gone under 500. How many years in a row have we, I'm not saying that's what you strive for, but like, come on, like that's still very impressive. But it just feel like it's run its course. And I think this is a guy who should be picked up immediately. I'm a big fan of his, but it's unfortunately come down to the fact where his offense probably is as good as his defense this year. Like you said, the offense has been holding him back, and I think that's definitely the case for the last few years. But I think it's just kind of been mid, slightly maybe above average all year long for this team. Like their defense, they've got a lot of really poor performances out there, and it's the most expensive defense in football. So yeah, I think this is a potential part ways in my eyes. This is how I see it. I don't know if he should. I don't know. In my head, I think like, yeah, you can make an argument for him to be fired, but I also think like, I don't know if he should be fired. Like, I think like I'm saying, like it needs to be like a divorce, sort of like nobody's really in the wrong, because I don't think the front office has really done him any favors either. So like, that's kind of my take on it. Like, I think if the front office finally was just like, Tomlin, sorry, I know you're a winner. We're gonna blow this shit up though. Like we're gonna regroup and we're gonna build you a new roster. Instead, this front office continuous just has like this mentality of we've gotta win now. We've gotta win now. Let's just go get a new quarterback and figure it out. And it just hasn't worked. So I don't think they've done him any favors either, which is why I think this needs to be a part ways and a divorce. That's just my 2 cents. Harbaugh, part 2. I kind of want to go the same way. Feels like we're reaching the same point now where he's been there a long time. They've been going further, but unable to get to that hump. They've had some injuries, but something just doesn't feel right in Baltimore this year.
Yeah, but he is that culture. Like they carry themselves well. They win games. They're always there. They've done so well in the Lamar Jackson era. And I know Lamar Jackson's a big part of that, but Harbaugh is, just kind of that consistent piece to me. I don't think that team has, been a championship caliber team like on paper. for as long as people think, or like for any period of time. Really, like I think they always have reasons outside of coaching that they're not the better team, and why they've come up short against teams like the Bills and the Chiefs. So I don't know. I think another scenario to a very different extent where I think the front office has in a way failed them from really like getting over that hump and being true contenders, but they're still so good because of Lamar, and I think he needs that consistency. So to be honest, I think I'd call up Lamar and see what he wants to do. I think this is a potential part ways, but I don't think that this is a should be scenario.
I'm gonna go should be, but it won't be. I mean, I'm so tired. Like, I'm just sick of these coaches that don't really do much in terms of, you know, the X's and O's on game day. Like, I feel like it's not that kind of league anymore. Like, these CEO types that oversee the locker room, the culture builders. I feel like Liam Cohen's proved that this year. Ben Johnson's proved that this year. It's about the X's and O's. It's about being the genius play caller. It's not so much about you know, having the culture right and having the locker room right, because then, you know, things like what's happened this year can happen where the offense looks a little stale and things like that. Same thing with Mike Tomlin in Pittsburgh. So I would not be opposed to him leaving and then bringing in a guy that can really unlock some special things in this offense, especially with how high, you know, they really should be like a high-paced, fun, like shootout type of offense with the personnel that they have and the quarterback that they have. I feel like they've just never really been that because of guys like Harbaugh bringing in Greg Roman and bringing in these like boring old head coordinators. Even Todd Monken's like 60 years old, right? So it's like, it's just not a fun style of football that's being played in Baltimore.
Yeah, I'm going to go potential part ways. I'm going to go with Lucas on this one over the should be, but I do agree in the sense that like something's got to give. Something's got to give, like offensively. Like you need somebody fresh in there. And they always seem to have like these young defensive minds in there. Like they've got these like 35. I mean, look at Mike McDonald. Like they've got these like 35, 36-year-old defensive coordinators who are in there running these exotic defenses. Yeah. And then you've just got like these 65-year-old offensive coordinators in there who love throwing the ball to tight ends. It's like, what are we doing here? I feel like the opposite right now of what's really working in the NFL. Go look at the most recent Super Bowl champion. Offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, now head coach of the New Orleans Saints. Defensive coordinator, like 75-year-old Vic Fangio. Like it seems like the recipe for success. And it's just been the opposite in Baltimore. Let's go ahead and move on to Zach Taylor of the Cincinnati Bengals. I'm gonna go with should be but won't be. I think this thing has really run its course. But if we're talking about Cincinnati Bengals, this is a franchise that never gives up on really anything. And I remember immediately after they went to the Super Bowl in 2021, you knew, like, Bengals fans were saying this guy's going to be here for the next 10 years, and he probably shouldn't be. But I'm done with Zach Taylor. I think he should be fired. But he won't be because how long did they keep Marvin Lewis for? Without winning a playoff game, like 20 years?
Mm-hmm.
Some insane number.
Yeah, and I think this one too, it's like I've never been a Zach Taylor fan. Like I think clock management, decision making, like he just doesn't really seem like a good football coach, to be honest. But I also think like front office plays a big part of it too, as to why like their roster hasn't been ready to win. Like obviously they had the Super Bowl year, but their defense has just been terrible the last few years. And with everything that happened with Trey Hendrickson in the offseason, everything that happened with Shamar Stewart, their first round pick, and his contract, like it's not 100% on Zach Taylor, but I also think like a culture change is what's needed more than anything for the Bengals. So I agree, it should be, but probably won't be. I haven't heard anything about that happening or seen anything on Twitter. I'm not on the line with Shefty or anything, but yeah, I don't see it happening this year, although I think it should.
Well, based on my sources, it seems like he's staying, at least from what I've been reading. So that's definitely going to fall into the should be but won't be, just because it just seems like such an appealing job too, right? Like with Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, like you would think so many people would be like running. I mean, obviously the Bengals ownership sucks, but like just in terms of the players they have, a lot of people would be lining up for that job. Think about like Joe Brady. He coached Joe Burrow at LSU, right? And Jamar Chase. It's like that seems like such an obvious hire Not that Joe Brady's been great or anything, but still like just a fresh, creative mind in there. And instead, they keep rolling it back with a pretty boring coach, in my opinion.
Yeah, agreed. Should be, but won't be. Kevin Stefanski, feel like it's really run its course. Just a overall mess in Cleveland. The handling of the quarterback situation, Dylan Gabriel, Shedeur Sanders, Deshaun Watson. It's just, I'm ready to just say he's fired. It's sad. 2-time coach of the year, but I'm done with him. Fired.
I want to say potential part ways, but I agree. Like, I think this is, even if it is a part ways, it's happening.
Yeah, he's getting fired for sure. It's just kind of been a media circus in Cleveland this year. Hasn't done a good job, I don't think, handling all that.
Mike
Great coach,
Vrabel.
though.
Yeah.
Locked
Mike
in.
Vrabel, locked in. Easily locked in. Don't even need to get into it. Aaron Glenn, on the other hand. Diana Rossini reporting that he is safe in 2026 in New York. I just really don't know how I feel about it, and I hate it because I was a really big fan of this hire. I really thought this was going to be like a raise the bar kind of guy. I had them winning 7 games. I thought he was really going to be a culture setter. I thought, he was kind of more the culture guy from Dan Campbell, and Ben was kind of more the X's and O's guy, and it's kind of both ways leaning Ben. And I'm not saying that he hasn't set that culture, but there's just not. I mean, you traded away all your star players. Your running back hates the team, and you got no quarterback. I don't know. I just feel like if you're going to take a quarterback, I would really like to see them reset this again. But I don't. It's just like, and the Jets just keep hiring these defensive minds. Like they have one offensive hire in like the last 20 years, and that's Adam Gase. So, like, I don't know. Maybe something needs to be really, really reset in New York. I want to lean should be, but won't be.
I think he's the poster child for should be, but won't be. Like, I think that's the thumbnail right there for you. Should be, but won't be Aaron Glenn. Like, I don't know. I think with the roster that they had, they traded away 2 star players on that defense. They had a really good defense. And they just at no point looked like a average football team even. So I think definitely should be, and definitely sounds like he won't be.
Fully agree with that. He's just not inspired their team at all, which is kind of his calling card. So I wouldn't be wanting to bring that guy back.
I really hope for something better for him in 2026 because, like I said, I was kind of a fan of the guy. I was a fan of the hire, but been more of a nightmare than anything else. And if they draft a quarterback, I'm really worried about that. This is probably my most interesting one, and that is head coach of the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel. Fired the GM. They wanted to see what this new GM, who we do not know would feel about Mike McDaniel. And if I had to give my 2 cents on it, I'd say fired. Unfortunately, I like him. I think he's a great play caller. I think he's a really good play caller. But I also think there is a lot of signs there that he runs a really soft program. And maybe that does come from the front office. But this is the same team that ran Vic Fangio out of town because he was too hard on the players. This is the same team who was calling our Chicago Bears fake physical football team because we were too physical in training camp. And all year long, they have got bitched around. Now, granted, they've been winning a few more games towards the end of the stretch here. But I just feel like maybe a reset is in store. Maybe say for 2026 as well. I could lean with the new GM, maybe get him a new quarterback, see what he does. I have a hard time gauging this, but obviously we know he's a good play caller. But the culture does come with that, and I think he has raised. I think the press conferences have really just gone downhill. It's like, come on, dude, we don't find you funny anymore. You're not winning games anymore. I think that is a big part of being a head coach as well, and I don't see the future of this being too bright, and I think maybe a fresh start for him. I think he's a guy who should get another gig at it, but I want to go fired.
Man, that's tough. I really like Mike McDaniel. I think he's one of those guys we talk about, like how the league's headed. It's you want those X's and O's, you want the play callers that are the head coaches and that consistency in the offense. So I think for McDaniel's sake, best case scenario is, they have their divorce in Miami and he ends up as a head coach in another for another team. For Miami, though, like I think the best scenario is to kind of restart completely. I don't see a GM coming in here and like wanting to keep that maybe for another year, since they're not going to have like a quality draft pick for a quarterback. You kick the can to next year and say, this is where I want to get my head coach, get my first round quarterback of the future. So I think that's like the case for safe for 2026, but I think this is probably a fired.
Yeah, I mean, if we had like a shouldn't be but will be, I think that's
Yeah.
where I put
Yep,
Dan
there you go.
because I love him as a play caller, like Lucas said, but I feel like he just gotten screwed a little bit by Tua's limitations and being kind of tied to his contract. So he's kind of run his course in Miami.
Yeah. All right. Kind of all game to an agreement there. I like that. Now this is another polarizing one. AFC kind of full of some polarizing ones. Sean McDermott just missed out on the division for the first time in 5 years. But he does have a playoff chase ahead of him. They're locked in. They're going to the postseason. And it's going to be very interesting. You know, the Bills very well could find themselves in the Super Bowl with the way the AFC is. Where are we leaning with this one? Because I'm still kind of undetermined.
I'm totally should be, but won't be on this one. I think last offseason I said the same thing, and that was kind of the shocking take of the video. Was like, I thought he's on the hot seat or whatever it was, whatever our categories were. But I don't think he's a good coach at all. I mean, their defense isn't good. He's like majorly responsible for calling defense and overseeing that unit. They can't stop anybody on the run versus the run. Their pass defense is good, but still, like, it's just overall a pretty weak unit. And offensively, I think they need a spark there, whether it's a new coach or, I mean, maybe they promote Joe Brady, but even he's kind of been not as good this year. But just in general, they need a new offensive mind in there to help Josh Allen take maybe another leap if they can get some weapons in for him and watch him, kind of take over this league even more than he has already.
Lucas.
Yeah, I don't see it, man. I don't see them moving on from McDermott. I think he's like probably 2 years away from, I don't know, anything can happen next year, like I said. But I think they've shown enough this year. They're not going to win the division for the first time in 5-6 years, like he said. It means they've won the division pretty consistently under his leadership. And I know that's not the ultimate goal, obviously, but you look back on his tenure with Buffalo, and there's just like inches that separate their current situation from Super Bowls. And so the team's always been there. The team, I think, is almost synonymous with him and Josh Allen through multiple offensive coordinators even. And I just think absolutely safe for 2026, but we'll see what next year brings us.
I can get behind safe for 2026 because they miss out on the division. Maybe they just need to regroup here. I'm kind of more in the let's maybe get a fresh start at GM because I don't know if Brandon Beane has really impressed me. I think the lack of weapons is really starting to catch up with them. And it's like it worked last year and it was humming last year, but I feel like that truly can only get you so far when you kind of defenses now can really sort of key in fully on Josh Allen. I mean, he was going superhero mode all of last season, won the MVP because of it. But I'm going to go with safe for 2026. I do agree with Lucas. He's been inches away multiple times from being in the Super Bowl. And I think maybe we're just probably doing this video too soon in just this scenario alone. Like if they get first round bounce, I probably would go with maybe a should be, but won't be, or a potential part ways because the AFC has never been more open than it's ever been in their entire tenure as with Josh Allen and McDermott together. If they don't do anything, I could definitely be cool with boosting this one up a little bit. But if this team very well could go on a run. So right now I want to say safe for 2026. We have made our way into the NFC though. I kind of just want to rifle off these two locked in. I mean,
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Gods, and then fired. I probably should have just moved McDonald in front of Gannon. So we could have just gone locked in,
Rattle them off. Yeah.
rattle them off. We could just go ahead and do that. It don't matter. We're all locked in. I don't think there needs to be any conversations about the three of those. Three really good head coaches, man. Love what they're doing. Fired. I can't stand this guy. I can't
Just
stand
what
him.
an insane like separation in that division. Like you have a team in the Cardinals that's gone nowhere in 15 years now. Like they have just been nothing for a vast majority of our lifetimes. And then all three of these teams have won Super Bowls or been a competitor for a majority of the last decade. Like those coaches, those organizations, they're just in a different league than the Cardinals are. And it's kind of an embarrassment that they happen to be in the same division.
He's literally Matt Eberflus. Like Jonathan Gannon is Matt Eberflus, and he learned from him in Indianapolis. That's like his mentor. It's like it makes so much sense. They're so similar to me.
Oh, 100%, dude. It's right on the money. You know, bad year one, but it's like, all right, whatever. Kind of a bad roster, and then you see the growth, the slight jump, but you're kind of like, eh. I mean, I had this team, I think, at 8 wins this year because I really thought he could do a lot with their defense. I thought they killed it in the draft with Will Johnson and Walter Nolan, but none of them, I mean, their defense hasn't been able to stay healthy. And this, I mean, just the Kyler Murray situation on top of it all. Yeah, fired, boom, get him out of there. And the decline into year 3, it's right on the money, right on the money. Fired, get him out of there. Raheem Morris, interesting situation. I
Is
don't.
it?
I kind of want to go fired. I do.
Yeah.
I feel bad because I don't know if the cards were necessarily dealt in his favor. Once again, you hand this quarterback $160 million guaranteed, and then you draft one. Like that's a a pretty rough start automatically, and then you got to go to the kid in the back half of your first year, and the kid goes out there and he gets hurt and doesn't look very good, and you got this $160 million quarterback on the bench, but I don't know. The defense isn't overly great. It's competent. Um, Offense has all these superstar playmakers and Bijan Robinson and Kyle Pitts and Drake London, and you can't really, it's an okay offense, but we've seen them score 0 points against the Carolina Panthers this year. It's like too many rough losses over the course of the first 2 seasons. Very few significant wins. I don't see this. I don't see this trending up.
Yeah.
Yeah, there used to be, I forget who had mentioned it. I want to say it was like Rex Ryan or some TV analyst, but they'd say like if your quarterback was better than Andy Dalton, then you're probably good. If your quarterback is worse than Andy Dalton, then you should probably look to get a new one. And I feel like Raheem Morris is kind of that line here. Like if you're better, like if you have some positive things to look back on, then Raheem Morris, because I totally agree with what you said. Like I think the quarterback situation more than anything has really put a limit on what success Atlanta can see or could have seen over the last couple of years. But he just hasn't done anything. Like great coaches would overcome that, would work with the first round quarterback that came from it, and the defense that you got there, and that just hasn't happened with Morris. So I think he's right at that line, and in this case scenario, it's kind of one of those round down. Like if he's not good enough to get you over that hump, find a new one.
Yeah, like what does he even do is kind of my thing with Raheem Morris. Like that's my general thought about him. He's kind of another one of those like Aaron Glenn CEO type of coaches, the Tomlins, the Harbaughs, but it's like I don't think he really inspires in the locker room. I never see like one of his locker room speeches go viral, probably because they never win, but still, I don't feel like he's some like energetic, like rally the guys behind him type of coach either, which I would expect from a guy like him.
Yeah. And this is also his second stint now, head coaching, where it's like you think with that roster and what you're bringing in, you were expecting immediate success. Like this team needs to go to the playoffs. When they got Kirk Cousins, people were like, this team's going to go 11-5 in this offense. They didn't do that. Decline in year 2. They, got themselves a first-round quarterback, and he didn't really show much. I mean, a few flashes here and there, but I would say right now, best potential thing for the franchise is to, maybe go out there and just hopefully get a new quarterback, but you can't do that because you don't have your first-round pick. But B, probably find an offensive mind, maybe like a Kellen Moore situation where it's like we'll get the last of the bunch and hope that this guy can come in here and show some competent success with Michael Penix. Who knows? But I just don't think Raheem Morris is the guy to right this ship. Fired. All right, here we go. Kellen Moore. I want to say he's locked in. I've enjoyed what I've saw from Tyler Shuck. I think this team has really shown that they can compete this year. You guys might want to lean safe for 2026, but they've won 6 games, which was a hell of a lot more than I thought they were going to this year. I thought this was going to be a locked-in bottom 3 team. I really like what they're seeing from the offense. This is a guy who's finally getting, Chris Olave. I mean, we were talking earlier in the year about Chris Olave and like his target number is high, but are they quality targets? Those targets are becoming quality. This guy's scoring touchdowns. He's becoming a big piece of their offense. I think he's locked in, kind of. Maybe safe for 2026, just because, it's kind of still a shaky situation. Is like Shuck really the guy you want to tie your hands to? But I don't know. I've really enjoyed what I've seen from the Saints.
Yeah, I agree, and I like what the Saints are doing, but I guess I like what the Saints have done, but I don't know what they're doing. Like, yeah, they're winning some games and looking better, and they're making the right steps, and I like Shuck as well. But I don't know. I asked the question so many times talking about the Bears of the years past. It's like, who on that team is going to be on their next great team? And it's like, maybe they found their quarterback. Maybe Olave still hangs around, but they just don't have any other, like, centerpieces to their team right now. And so it's just kind of a weird timeline with Kellen Moore where I think 100% safe for 2026. And I like to think that he's safe for that full season, but then so many things could happen if they, again, Shuck takes a step back, they get a high draft pick next year, you're probably going to want to reset. So I would say safe for 2026, but if they have a similar season morale-wise, improvement-wise next year to what they had this year, then I think they're looking at the coach of their future probably.
Yeah, I would lean safe for 2026 just because like it wasn't really even sure that they wanted him, right? Like he was just the last guy that was available
Yeah.
in the coaching cycle. So like you don't even know how much they really are tied to him or maybe someone is available next cycle that they like a lot better. And like Lucas said, they might have a top pick to take a quarterback if Shuck doesn't develop, doesn't continue to develop. So yeah, I don't think they're tied to Kellen Moore.
Yeah, I do probably agree with you guys on that, on both those aspects. I think my main thing is Mickey Loomis has to go. What this guy has done to this franchise, detrimental. All these contracts, all this push down money, the way he's handled every single draft and just miss after miss after miss, year after year after year. I really think I think you did nailed it. Where it's like, who on the Saints team is going to be on the next great Saints team? I don't know if there is really anybody right now outside of a few guys with maybe Shuck and Olave, and then probably Kelvin Banks as well. I really like what Kelvin Banks did in his first year. Yeah. But outside of that, I don't know. But I do think Kellen Moore, okay, we'll go safe for 2026. I like it. I think I was just very impressed with how his first year went. I thought it was going to be a disaster class. I mean, we had him in seats warm. We put him in the seats warm category last year. So I think I'm pretty impressed with that. Todd Bowles, my first assumption with how their season has gone this year is probably should be, but won't be. I don't know if I see them parting ways, or do you guys see it happening?
I think this is a potential part ways. Yeah, I think like they were far and away the team to beat. I thought coming into the season, like last year, Bucky Irving emerging. In the offseason, they get Igbuka, and he's off to such a hot start. Like, they were such a good team in the first half of the season. I remember shooting a text to one of our groups saying, I think the Bucs would hang 60 on the Bears in the first half if they were to play at that time. And now, like, I think we're significantly better of a team. And, yeah, they've been a little bit banged up, but they have their stars back. Baker's not playing well. They just don't have a clear direction moving forward. So I think this one is – orange-red here. Could be a part ways, but really I think he's getting fired.
I think they were too late. I mean, they had Dave Canales there. They had Liam Cohen there. It's like, where do they go now if they fire Todd Bowles, right? It's like you missed out on internal hires with 2 pretty good offensive coaches. But, yeah, I would tend to agree that it's like another playoff. Or if they don't even make the playoffs, I feel like that even – further pushes the idea that he's probably going to get fired. But I could see like if they make the playoffs and lose, maybe he's going to be safe for another year just because this coaching cycle is a little weak. But I'm I'm kind of wherever. Like if you want to put him in should be but won't be, part ways, fired, I'm okay with anything.
Well, I think that, they have a lot of respect for him in that organization. They promoted him after Andy Reid. We'll go potential part ways with that one. I
Okay.
think I think he deserves respect as well. I think, a couple straight division titles, some playoff wins in there. I think he's definitely earned the respect of Tampa Bay, but just feels like after this season, things are a little rocky right now there, and we could see a potential part ways. But at the same time, they go on, beat Carolina next week, win the division, win a playoff game somehow, some way. Who knows? But yeah, I think I had the Bucks in my top 5 at one point this year when they were 6-2 and their offense was really rolling. I was like, wow, this team really could go to the NFC Championship game. They went to Seattle and won. Like they went into Seattle and won. I was like, wow, this team's going to be good. But yeah, I don't know. Dave Canales, head coach of the Carolina Panthers, year 2. How are we feeling?
Probably a little too early. Like I think for sure safe, but if he wins the division, looks good in the playoffs, like this is the coach of the future. We talked about kind of we don't need to like pit them against each other, but it kind of feels like the battle between Bryce or Canales. Like if things aren't looking too hot, who's the one to go in Carolina? I still think that Bryce is more to blame for any shortcomings than Canales is. Like I think Canales has shown that he can rally a team together. They've looked good on defense at times. That Rams game, that defense just completely, set the tone and ended up winning that game for them. And it's rare that their offense does. But we're not talking about Bryce Young. We're talking about Canales, and I think he's locked in, to be honest. But I could see, say, for 2026 if we're feeling a little antsy still.
I'm feeling locked in just because it's Carolina. Like this isn't the Dallas Cowboys or like some premier market franchise. Like how are they going to get a coach that's better than Dave Canales? I think he's done a really good job there. Definitely exceeded expectations, elevated the team to playing for a playoff spot on the last week of the year. So that nobody thought that was going to happen this quickly. So even with a really bad, in my opinion, a really bad quarterback. So I think he's done some really good things with Carolina, and I could see him there for quite some time.
Yeah, I want to go. I'm a big fan of Canales. I'm a big fan. I think he deserves to be locked in, but I really am worried about the trajectory of the franchise as a whole. Are you going to be, I don't know if Bryce Young's the guy, if I'm being honest with you. Like, I really still don't. I think he's probably, at this point, if I had to make a bet, I don't think he is the guy. So are you going to pay him? You're going to keep him around for a couple of years and win 8-9 games consistently? Like, that's what worries me. I think Canales has really brought the best out of him, but like, how far can that go? And I feel worried about him tying himself to Bryce Young. There's Carolina Panthers fans watching. I'm sorry. Okay, you probably don't hear us. You probably, especially Bears fans, you probably don't want to hear 3 Bears fans talking about Bryce Young. I wouldn't either. But I worry about that. But I'm a big Canales guy. I think what he's done this year has been phenomenal. Much better than I thought they were going to. Ben Johnson. Next. Next.
He's so good.
Sunday Night Football, if that was any showcase for what you needed to know, what he can do offensively, there it was. That's all you need to know. Dan Campbell.
Dude, Ben Johnson locked in. Dan Campbell fired. But I would be okay with saying that Dan Campbell should be. I was leaning more safe towards 2026, but it'd be hard to try to like make a case that he's going to be let go anytime soon, even despite his coordinators leaving and him taking a pretty big step back this year. I think he's going to go out, hire some fresh coordinators, and have a pretty nice bounce back season next year. So I think he's just turned around that franchise and set such a nice culture for them that it's going to be hard to really ever fire him unless, a couple more disaster seasons happen.
Yeah, I think go on.
Dan Campbell's going to be the coach of the Lions for the next 10 years, or until he chooses to retire. I honestly think that. So,
okay. I mean, I definitely can see it. I think they're going to be fine for 2026, no problem. Like, I'm not really worried about the long-term trajectory of the Detroit Lions, but there is a lot of rumblings coming out of Detroit. Like, this offense has no identity, and I think maybe a fresh coordinator could. I mean, they're still a very high-scoring, high-powered offense, but it doesn't feel like it's clicking on the level that it obviously once was with Ben Johnson. I think Kelvin Shepard, their DC, is probably safe, but I feel like maybe getting Morton out of there and maybe getting someone fresher in the building would probably be better for them offensively. I don't have any long-term worries about it. I want to say locked in, but I don't know if this offense if they kind of go out there and put the same thing on there, then maybe 2027. But I'd say locked in. I'm not really worried about this team long-term right now with the way their offense is playing. Same boat with Matt LaFleur. I think he's locked in. I think as Bears fans, we've always had so much praise and respect for Matt LaFleur. It doesn't bother me that this team, hasn't won the division with Jordan Love and that they've been the 7 seed 2 years in a row or 3 years in a row now. They might have been the 6 actually last year, but that doesn't bother me none. I think he's a phenomenal coach, really. I think he's so good. Any
I mean, the game's plural against the Bears, but really that second one with Malik Willis coming in proves to me, like, even though they lost that one in particular is like, oh yeah, this is just a super well coached team. They're consistently solid all the way around. Their offense, probably just a product of being a Bear fan, but their offense always seems to be clicking when they need to. So I like LaFleur a lot. Well, I know you're a bit of a Packer fan on the inside, so you really, really like LaFleur, but yeah, in my opinion, he's as locked in as it gets. Although I do think that there is some, especially from Packers fans, complaints whether they're warranted or not. And maybe this time next year we're having a different conversation. But I think he should be as locked in as it gets.
Yeah, those Packer fans are idiots. I mean, they've got a top tier coach. I think like you bringing up Malik Willis, that was like the true test. Like when you can get your backup quarterback to play just as good as the starter, that's when you're like a legit, elite head coach in terms of play calling. So yeah, that's just the way that Malik Willis has played has been so impressive to me and builds LaFleur's case as a top tier coach even more.
Yeah, and I mean he makes Romeo Doubs. Christian Watson. I'll be the first to admit I haven't been a huge fan of his since he came into the league, but what he's doing this year really looks the part. Romeo Doubs, like he's throwing the ball to Bo Melton, like they make it work. They really make it work. Tucker Kraft was looking like an all-pro. Like Matt LaFleur is that guy. Now this might be a hot take, but I want to go safe for 2026 with Kevin O'Connell. I don't want to go locked in, and I said this in the last video, and it was more of a McCarthy sucks situation, and they go backwards once again, and we're in year 4 and they still don't have any playoff wins, and they have a really good year and then they have a down year and then they have a really good year and then they have a down year. That was my whole thing. And we're going to be going into year 5 with no playoff wins. And how many head coaches survive 5 years without a playoff win?
Yeah.
So I'm going safe for 2026.
It's a good point you bring up. But again, just playing them twice a year, they're such a solid team. And they have such a good roster. Like, they have such a deep roster. And so maybe it's an argument against KOC, but like just consistently strong offenses. It doesn't matter the quarterback in most cases. It made a lot of players look good, just for whatever reason can't do it with JJ. And I think there's a lot of people to blame in Minnesota that aren't Kevin O'Connell. So I think he should be locked in.
I think the argument against Kevin O'Connell would probably be Brian Flores, in my opinion. And I'm just such a big Brian Flores fan that it's like maybe you don't let that guy walk out the door. Because when I think of the Minnesota Vikings, especially the past 2 years now, it's like what scares me more, it's always their defense. Like I always think of them as like a defensive team. Maybe that's recency bias just because of how bad their offense was this year. I know they were really good with Darnold and some of the guys before him, but what Brian Flores has done with the Vikings and that scheme, like I just feel like if you've got your offense, like maybe they bring in a decent quarterback and they're just like, hey, we got enough from our offense. Let's keep Brian Flores in here so we can just continuously be a top 3 defense, top 5 defense and win that way. Like I almost think that could be smarter. And that's kind of what I was thinking too, like going back to like the Bengals or the Bills. It's like you got such established superstar quarterbacks and your offense is good. Like imagine bringing in a Brian Flores and, elevating your defense to top 3, top 5. So I just think that could be a smart move for the Vikings just to keep him in the organization.
I don't know if I fully agree with that. I mean, but I do think you make a good point. Like when I think about like each time that we've had the Minnesota Vikings on the schedule, the first thing that comes into my mind is like, and maybe it's because we've had such young quarterbacks, is like, how is my young quarterback gonna go up against Brian Flores' defense? That's the first thing.
Yeah.
Second thing, Justin Jefferson. How do you stop that player? Those are the first two things that come into my head when I see the Minnesota Vikings on the schedule is how are we going to score points? How are we going to somehow combat this Brian Flores defense? And it's so good. What did you decide on though, Ryan? Say for 2026? I don't know. You kind of just glazed Brian Flores.
I got carried away with Brian Flores praise, but I would probably say locked in on O'Connell, to be honest. I just can't see them moving on from him unless it's, like I said, for an internal promotion.
I'm just saying, 5 years without a playoff win. Not a lot of guys survived that. I think maybe Kwesi got to go. Goodbye. I like Kevin. I like Kevin O'Connell. I like him. But we're playing predictor here. You know, we're not saying if we like the guy or not. I think, you know, he probably should be locked in, but we're safe for 2026. I think was maybe a safer bet there. Schottenheimer. They didn't make the playoffs, but they did trade away their star pass rusher at the beginning of the season. I thought we saw a lot of good from their offense. I think that, you know, the players are bought in there. We were kind of worried about that. We kind of worry about this being a handcuff. I kind of want to probably lean safe for 2026, but I could also get behind locked in. I think that there's been a lot of good culture praise and vibes there that McCarthy probably wasn't very good at there. I think that he did a good job with what he was dealt this year. And Matt
this is the head coach equivalent of James Robinson, Rockford, Illinois' finest, where like, yeah, you'll take what you can get for the time. You didn't really spend much to get him. Like, wasn't a valuable asset in terms of acquisition. But it's working out. You know, you'll roll with it. You'll keep him around for 2026. Who gives a shit if you feel like you need to find a new coach after that? Like, all right, you kind of feel like you got away with, you know, that hire. I feel like the offense has been super good all year, and obviously their issues have been defensive. So I don't really blame Schottenheimer for that compared to the devil Antichrist himself, Matt Eberflus, and Jerry Jones, you know, trading away Micah Parsons. So I like Shotty. I think he did good this year. I'd certainly underrated him. He was on the hot seat in our initial rankings of coaches, and he quickly got himself off of that. So I think say for 2026, and you know, just have some fun with it, Brian. If I had any advice for Brian Schottenheimer, just have some fun with it. Ride the wave, brother.
I mean, well put, but I would just say that safe for 2026, it's Dallas, man. You can't miss the playoffs twice in Dallas and be locked in, right? So it's like if he misses next year, no chance. He's brought back. The whole media wave will turn on him, and all of a sudden the players aren't bought it, and there's random stories leaking about how he sucks or something. So yeah, I wouldn't say he's locked in by any means. And so whenever that next new hot candidate's available, I'd expect Dallas to pursue that, just because they sound, especially Jerry Jones seems to be obsessed with, you know, the big names and making a splash. So
yeah. Nick Sirianni, I'm just going to come out here and say I want him to be in the should be but won't be category.
Yeah, totally agree. Coordinator issues, locker room issues. I don't like the guy issues. So agree. Should be but won't be.
Yeah, very fair.
This guy has, you know, they went to the Super Bowl with Shane Steichen, an established guy in Shane Steichen. He leaves. He just promotes one of his boys. They suck. He brings in Kellen Moore, established play caller. They go to the Super Bowl. They win the Super Bowl. He has Vic Fangio. It's great. He leaves. He promotes one of his boys. They suck. They've won 2 games this year. 2 games without completing a pass in the second half. What does he do there? He doesn't call plays. What the does he do there?
Yeah. The Raheem Morris of the NFC East.
He's just nothing but cringe. I can't stand the guy, and they won a Super Bowl because Vic Fangio is a god. Like, there would be, like, we talk about offenses, and I don't think that we talk about, like, boring offenses, and I don't think that Jalen Hurts should be even put in the same category as Lamar Jackson despite his success. But somebody can come in there and do something with that. You've got guys there. Somebody can come in there and do something with that. And I feel like that needs to be searched for. Keep Vic Fangio around. Bears were able to keep Vic Fangio around when Matt Nagy became the head coach. Keep Vic. That's fine. I think that's smart. Buddy Ryan, situation. Keep that guy. Do not let that guy leave your building. Don't promote him to head coach, but do not let that guy leave your building. And he's probably cool with that. It's a good roster. It really is. But get Nick Sirianni out, man. I don't think that is the guy. I don't think that's the guy.
Yeah, and there's that crazy stat that like Jalen Hurts has had like a new offensive coordinator, like a new play caller every year of his career or something. Like he's had 5 new ones in the last 5 years. So it's just getting absurd to the point where I think you need to give that guy some continuity for him to really not come into his own. He's an established player, but to like sustain long periods of elite quarterback play. Like let that guy have a coach or a play caller for multiple years in a row.
He looked phenomenal in the Super Bowl. He really did. After the Super
Kellen
Bowl,
Moore. Yeah, Kellen Moore had him right.
After the Super Bowl, I made a video. Jalen Hurts very well could be a Hall of Famer. And it wasn't like a talent thing, but like he's got a Super Bowl. He's finished second in MVP voting, multiple Pro Bowls, nothing but success on the field in terms of the W's. Like, if that can continue, this guy probably will be wearing a gold jacket in Canton one day. And I still think that's a true possibility, despite all these insane stats. Like don't complete a pass in the second half and you win 2 games this year. Like, what the hell is that? And then your head coach comes in. Where's all that shit talking now? Where's all that shit talking now? Are you proud of that product? Are you like
the litmus test if you're a good offensive coordinator or not should just be you go coach Jalen Hurts for a year and see what happens. Like that's just the determination, because I feel like he's so easily like swayed by who his players around him are, who his coach is. Like Jalen Hurts isn't the reason why the Eagles are what they are. You know, he needs everything around him to be at an elite level, and when it's not, you get years like this.
Yeah, 100%. I think he's a clown. I think he should be fired, but he won't be, and it's sad. Last but not least, Dan Quinn of the Washington Commanders. I almost want to go the exact same category. This is a really good final one. I almost want to do the exact same category. I really do. But I want to say safe for 2026 is probably the likely cause.
Yeah, I think he's safe for 2026. The injury, like, I don't know. I just don't think it's right to fire your coach after your star quarterback spent most of the time hurt, or, obviously other injuries that they had on the team as well. So I think he's safe for 2026, but falls into that category where I don't think he's real difference maker after that first year. Like, I think having a culture really helped to propel them early on, but at this point, like, I don't see him being able to get them back to that point, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's how much do you put like the personnel decisions on Dan Quinn, I guess. Like, do you blame the GM for how badly they messed this offseason up, or do you blame Dan Quinn? I think if you blame Dan Quinn, then yeah, it's definitely concerning for the future. Like, maybe he just doesn't have it as a talent evaluator of sorts. But if you think just like as a coach, I think Dan Quinn's a really, really good coach. I think he's obviously proved it throughout his entire career. Seems like a lot of players love him. They buy into him. He's got the juice to be like that culture. He's kind of like a different version of a Dan Campbell, in my opinion. So I think he's a really good coach, and he probably would be locked in if not for some injuries. But like I said, are those injuries his fault? Is it his fault that they're signing Austin Eckler and Bobby Wagner and all these guys, or is that just the GM?
Yeah, there's a few guys that are his guys that were signed to some pretty solid contracts and didn't really pan out. Yeah. I am just kind of, I don't know. I think about it this way. Like, I'm really worried. Not necessarily worried because I'm a Bears fan and kind of fuck them just a little bit. But I'm worried from an outsider's perspective, like with Cliff and Dan. Like, how far can Dan take you? 1, and 2, like Cliff, we've seen the college scheme figured out as the years go on. Like, in my opinion, I think off the top of my head with how talented and what Jaden Daniels showed in his rookie year, I would want to say, like, just clean the house right now and try and find the brightest offensive mind you can. Like, maybe go out there and go get Clint Kubiak. No bullshit.
Yeah.
Like, look at the culture that they've established in Seattle. Bring some guys over from there. Oh, no. Let me change up my camera real quick. But, like, what I'm saying is I think that would probably be my bet is roll with just kind of maybe clean house. Honestly, I think maybe that'd be the best thing long term for them, but they probably won't.
I agree.
So safe for 2026. I think I can get behind that.
Yeah.
I like it.
And there you go. And there you have it. As my laptop or my camera died. 5 coaches getting fired this offseason. A few more potentially parted ways with. Should be but won't be's. And then you got your safe for 2026 and you're locked in. Not a whole lot of locked in there. Not a whole lot of absolutely locked in there.
We got Benny J, though. That's all that
But
matters.
we do have Ben Johnson out there locked in. I love it. I love it so much. We're going to see how this pans out just a week from today. Thank you guys so much for tuning in to another video, and we will talk to you guys soon. Peace.